So, one more story about my dad. There my dad is with my mom at a party. And they got like a DJ booth set up and like this guy's playing music and doing all this shit. And this British guy walks up and he changes it and completely penis musics the whole thing. And he just goes, "Oi, bad brains, give it a minute." And then like the guy that was doing the music just like looked at him and I think told him to fuck off and then changed it back to something. I love that story. I hold that near and dear to my heart. Alright. Turn off your tick-tards. We have more Higurashi to play. Keiichi isn't dead.
It was, an hour. I don't know.
Really?
My head was pounding. The sky was bright. It was cold, too. It hurt. Each sensation I felt led to a new and different one awakening. When I came to, I was lying face first on a dry riverbed. A few body parts hurt a lot. The skin over a bunch of my joints was torn, turned blue or red or oozing blood. I could tell it was my bones that were in pain from the agony I felt whenever I moved. I looked up and saw how high the bridge from which I had fallen was. Considering I dropped from there, it was a miracle that I could open my eyes again. Right next to me was a broken, upside-down car seat, which I guess some prankster had brought here. Maybe this thing had been conveniently lying right under me, allowing me to escape instant death. Miraculous. Of course I didn't know whether this miracle was fortunate or unfortunate.
Did he not die?
No,
You landed on a car seat.
Oh my.
I'd failed to die, and now I was still stuck in this insane world. How long had I been unconscious for? The sun was high in the sky, so it looked like only 1 or 2 hours had passed. But my body's sluggishness didn't make it feel at all like such a short time had gone by. Mentally, it felt like I'd been asleep here for a decade. So Keiichi just sticks his face in the river and drowns himself.
Yeah.
That's how it ends. Ow. Ah. The more feeling returned to my body, the more pain flooded in. It hurt so much, it would have been better not to have been woken up. I needed to get to a doctor.
What?
Yeah, to the coach's
What do you mean,
clinic.
what?
I mean,
reactions to
of course he needs to get to a doctor.
I need to get to a doctor. I need to get up and go right now. I need to not be here anymore.
Yeah.
He goes, what? I would never do that. I just walk the pain off to go home.
I get pushed off a bridge to die and I wake up. My first thought is, damn, that sucks. I wish that didn't happen.
No, your first thought is, damn, I could use some Advil.
The term coach's clinic brought memories back one after another. Memories I wish I hadn't recalled. Sadako was no longer on the bridge. She would have returned to Hinamizawa by now. And she would put on some clothes, go to the clinic, get a checkup, and report on how crazy I had seemed. The police were waiting for me without a doubt. This time, they would find out for real that I'd killed her uncle and arrest me. Or they would just send me to a mental institution like I thought they might. Still, I didn't care which it was. Please, someone stop all this pain. You can boil me or cook me afterwards, whatever you want. I began to walk unsteadily, just limping along. He actually got up. What a madman. I went downstream, then through an animal trail-like path in the woods. I walked haphazardly, searching for a path I knew. He runs into Sadako, and Sadako just starts screaming. Eventually, I finally came across a familiar road and set off towards the clinic. Not to my house, but to the clinic, which had treated me like a lunatic. It was hot and humid. There was no wind, and the air was stagnant. For a while now, I'd been smelling the terrible stench of burned eggs, and it made my face scrunch up. And then, at last, I noticed something. I couldn't hear any cicadas. It was the first time I'd heard Hinamizawa be so utterly silent. When I thought back, it seemed like the birds always chirped in the morning, cicadas always cried loudly in the afternoon, and Higurashi always rose up in the chorus in the evening. Always something to hear. I couldn't hear a single insect. The only thing I could hear was the rustling of the wind brushing the treetops. I'd never experienced this sort of quiet before. Even the only sounds coming from the trees lacked life somehow. The trees were yellow, and many leaves spread on the ground despite it being too early for autumn. Even the weeds that had been growing so persistently at the side of the road had yellowed, browned, and lost their vigor. Only the sunlight itself was the June Hinamizawa I knew. And yet, it seemed like the season had switched all of a sudden. I like Keiichi's song. The penis music one? Looking at the fallen leaves and rotting weeds led me to a spot a few small insects turned on
This
their
one?
back. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, this is Keiichi's song, right?
Sure.
I mean, it plays all the fucking time when it's just Keiichi. When Keiichi's doing something retarded. I know his real song is like the crazy penis DJ music when he goes crazy. But looking at the fallen leaves and rotting weeds led me to a spot a few small insects turned on their back. They weren't moving. They were corpses. I looked closer to see insect corpses scattered all around. He killed Hinamizawa.
He killed the Higurashi in Hinamizawa. How do you do that?
He killed the entire franchise.
Who
Killed Rika.
killed Rika?
Oh yeah, Shiro-sama?
Yeah.
Dude, we need to hold an emergency meeting.
Sure. Oishi. I looked closer to see insect corpses scattered all around, like a child had collected them as samples, then strewn them about. The stench, what was it? It was terrible, like burned eggs. Combined with all the bug corpses and leaves falling from the trees in the summer. Had someone sprayed herbicides or pesticides around here? He really killed the whole fucking village. His last wish was that everyone fucking died. There's a lot of bodies in this chapter, huh?
A little bit more than 4.
Yeah.
It's almost a village worth.
Wait, there was another dead body?
Oh, we're getting to it.
So remember when Keiichi was falling off the bridge and he was like, this entire world should die?
Yeah.
His wish came true.
Smiley?
There's all the plants are dying, and he just kept. He's finding a bunch of just dead insects on the ground.
Yeah, there's no chirping from any insects. It smells like burnt eggs.
Even at school, we apparently fumigate. They call it pest disinfection or something, once or twice a year.
What smells like burned eggs?
Oh, boy. I hadn't run into anybody, despite how bright it was outside. It was mid-afternoon, and yet it felt like I was sauntering about at midnight. With this smell, nobody would want to be walking around outside. Just what was this, anyway? There was no sound, no noise, not even a breath. Hinamizawa was silent. The school would come into view right after turning this corner, and yet I couldn't hear any commotion at all. None of the shouts or grunts that children always made. It was simply quiet. Just as pretending to ignore the silence had grown intolerable, I saw the school. And finally, I heard something. It was the sound of a few trucks. There were a few very tall trucks parked in the schoolyard, idling. About 10 workers in raincoats were unloading things from their trunks. It was hot and humid even in my casual clothing. I couldn't imagine how unbearable that must have been.
Raincoat.
And then I remembered. That's the police. That's the 10 cops that were with Oishi. Our school was rented from the Forest Service field office building, wasn't it? It wasn't strange at all for Forest Service trucks to be doing some kind of work in the schoolyard. Besides, what did forest rangers do anyway? I felt bad for them having to work in such heat, and with such a stench about. They were taking colorful cargo out of the truck and lining it up in the schoolyard. They were containers, fairly large ones, inside multicolored patchwork bags. Heavy, too. They were being carried in pairs. They lined them up very neatly, like tuna at a riverside fish market. Several dozen, hundreds of tuna were completely filling the fairly wide schoolyard up. I forgot my pain for a little while, captivated by this big forest ranger job I'd never seen before. As I stood there, watching in a daze, the people in the raincoats on the other side noticed me. One of them pointed me out and they shouted a few things back and forth. I thought they might yell at me for getting in their way, so I decided to leave post-haste. But then, 2 trucks drove up behind me. I stepped aside and they entered the schoolyard. Sheets covered their trunks, but I could tell they were completely full. And they passed. There was an awful smell that made me want to choke. It wasn't the same burned egg smells before, but an even worse one, like rotten crab meat. What on earth was it? I'd been enshrouded in one terrible stench after another all day. Then certain white letters emblazoned on the side of the passing trucks caught my eyes. Ground Self-Defense Forces. What?
It's the military.
Why is the military here?
They're packing a bunch of packages like tuna. They're wearing raincoats.
Bodies? I mean, it's body disposal crew, right? So then the whole fucking village died. What's happening? What? Self-defense forces? Like the army? Why was the army in the schoolyard?
Hey, you! Where did you come from?
Suddenly, someone slapped me on the shoulders from behind. I turned around and a canopied SDF Jeep was parked there. The SDF person had on a green raincoat and a gas mask. Gas mask.
Gask. Manga gamer.
A gas mask, like in the movies, carrying a compressed air cylinder.
I do, but it's been like 4 years. No, it's been 4 years. They can go through with a fucking Grammarly, copy and paste the script into Grammarly and fix it. Come on.
He didn't look normal. There wasn't an inch of exposed skin anywhere. Where did I... Ow. When I tried to talk, I stretched a wound on my head. It made the SDF people exchange glances. I couldn't see their faces through their masks, but they seemed surprised.
Do you live in Hinamizawa? Can you tell us your name and address?
Well, yeah, I sort of live here. My name is Keiichi Mayabara. Oh, and my address, redacted, Hinamizawa Village, Shishibone. After seeing me tell them my name and address without hesitation, one of the SDF people watching from the Jeep started talking into the radio.
Base, do you read? Base, do you read? We have a 402 survivor discovered. I repeat, we have a 402 we have a 402. We've found a survivor. He's in front of the Forest Service office.
This is Base. We copy. Secure the survivor at once. What is his status?
Healthy. Wounded all over, but not fatally. He can walk on his own. We'll send him to HQ for safety.
I was prepared to go along with the police, but the SDF? I couldn't help but think it seemed a little bit much. They urged me into the back of the Jeep, and then they told me to put on this gigantic gas mask. I did so, and one of the troops fiddled around with it, strapping it tightly to me. It was heavy, hard to see out of, hot, and difficult to breathe. Just looking at the world through this lens made it lose its sense of reality. My breathing sounded like some giant monster through the mask. At this point, I had no idea what was happening. With much trepidation, I asked the trooper adjusting my mask. Excuse me, has something happened?
Where were you? What were you doing?
Hey, don't answer a question with more questions. I was the one asking you. I, fell from a rope bridge way back in the mountains. I think I passed out on the riverbed. I don't actually know what day it is.
Today is June 22nd, 1983. Wednesday.
He's been out for what, a day?
A day.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That surprised me. Sadako pushed me off the bridge on Tuesday, the 21st.
They did the math for you.
That meant I'd been asleep on that riverbed for an entire day. Forgive me for asking again, but did something happen? Why is the SDF here? Is this a drill? Had my question been that difficult for him? None of the troops would answer me. The one in the driver's seat talking on his own radio turned on the vehicles. He turned the dial and some broadcast station or another came in. I started to listen to the voice of the radio announcer I was familiar with.
Was conducted at the Prime Minister's office in regards to questions from the press that the SDF not responding to the disaster promptly was directly related to this unprecedented, unheard of catastrophe. Chief Cabinet Secretary Okuno had this to say.
And so, I believe that once the SDF received the dispatch order from the prefecture government, they responded promptly.
According to him, the SDF was prompt to respond to the crisis after receiving their orders. He implied that it was the prefecture's responsibility for taking too long to comprehend the situation. When did the governor who requested the SDF's dispatch actually become aware of the outbreak of such an unprecedented catastrophe? And did he not invite further damage because of the time lost before he sent a request for disaster relief? In other words, because of the bureaucracy. We are waiting further investigation into the matter.
That was Mr. Okada reporting from the. Yeah. That was Mr. Okada reporting from the Prime Minister's office residence. At this point, we can take
Official
another
residence.
look at the political response following this disaster. Keiichi actually destroyed the entire world.
In the middle of the night, between June 21st and June 22nd, a large-scale disaster broke out in Hinamizawa village, Shishibone. The details have not yet been investigated, but there was an eruption of volcanic gas from somewhere within the Hinamizawa area. The gas was relatively heavy, and as it spewed out, it began to flow. This song is called Lie, Lies, Lies, Lie. All L-I-E, no other spelling. That flow went down along a small river and headed directly into Hinamizawa village. After a few hours, it had covered up the entire region. It happened in the middle of the night, 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. Every home and household in the village was afflicted. With most of the residents asleep, it is thought that all died without noticing the crisis. The catastrophe striking in the middle of the night caused this detection to come too late. But there was still one small opportunity to have noticed it. 3 a.m. A news dealer shop in Okinomiya sent a vehicle carrying the morning newspaper to its branch office in Hinamizawa. Usually the shop would be contacted upon the vehicle's arrival, but this morning, that didn't happen. The news dealer's shop made repeated calls but got no response. The shopkeeper sent his eldest son to check on things, but they lost contact with him as well. It is extremely regrettable. If they had contacted the police or fire department at this point, it is highly possible that the situation would have turned out more positively. At the very least, it is possible that the portion of the village might have been saved from tragic annihilation. 6 a.m. Residents in areas in the same region began continuously calling 119 to report the smell of rotten eggs, dizziness, nausea, and headaches. The fire department received the same reports, all from the same confined region. They speculated a truck loaded with chemicals may have gotten into an accident and reported it to the local police. 6:30 a.m. Contact was lost with a patrol car on duty in the Hinamizawa area after the officer reported the smell of rotten eggs. The local police considered the possibility of a large-scale disaster involving highly lethal gas and reported it to the prefecture and prefectural police at 7:15 a.m. 8 a.m. The governor was traveling to a nearby prefecture for inspection, so in accordance with regulations, the prefectural environmental disaster prevention chief was provisionally escalated to Director General and set up a disaster countermeasures office. I swear to God, I bet this is so much easier to read in Japanese. These titles. However, without contacting the governor, the countermeasures came too late. As has recently been pointed out by citizens groups, his trips with honorary diet members to inspect other prefectures was based solely on good relations, and it's rumored they preoccupied themselves with a drinking party. Sources closer to him claimed the governor had been drinking all night and had gone to sleep in a drunken state. He was completely drunk when the environmental chief phoned him as well, and apparently he could not get him to pay any attention to the matter. So it took about an hour for the governor to sober up, gain an understanding of the situation, and gather information. Though not as extreme as the governor's case, the environmental chief, who became Director General in the governor's absence, will likely also be questions about his negligence. In addition, without any procedures in place on the prefecture side that predicted catastrophes this massive, they would always react too late, and that ended up being fatal. 9:12 a.m. On the advice of the prefectural police, the governor requested a disaster relief mission from the SDF. By the time the chemical defense unit, equipped with protective equipment, arrived on the scene, 8 hours had already passed since the incident's outbreak. Whatever the case may be, it's unfortunate this happened while everyone was sleeping in the middle of the night. Had the same disaster occurred during the day, it likely would have been entirely different. All households in the Hinamizawa village region were wiped out. There were over 1,000 victims. The SDF is still confirming this.
It was the trolls!
No! Troll!
It was
The troll got
He killed everybody
Hinamizawa!
in Hinamizawa!
They didn't have TV, so they couldn't see the ads.
It was the
No!
trolls! No!
The troll incident.
Yeah, that's 900.
Is it so humid in here? It's getting like. I feel like that was fog there for a second.
It might have been.
Welcome to actually your personal hell, which is actually just my room.
The SDF is still confirming the situation on the ground, but the results are predicted to only increase that number. Here with us in the studio today is Dr. Fujiwara, a professor at Blanker University, who is well acquainted with volcanic disasters. Doctor, can such a sudden and horrible outburst of poisonous gas actually occur?
You see, I'm a nerd. It isn't actually all unusual for this to happen right around craters, at least. Japan is a volcanic nation, and so has many active volcanoes. There's always a danger of hazardous gas around any of these craters, and it's generally a rule among mountain climbers not to go near them.
Does this mean the rotten egg smell that visited Hinamizawa was a normal sort of gas from volcanic craters?
Judging by how it smelled like rotten eggs, we think it was hydrogen sulfide, a gas seen particularly frequently in accidents compared to other volcanic gases. If it's dense, it becomes extremely dangerous.
Hinamizawa village is very far away from the craters of any volcanoes. Can hydrogen sulfide be generated even from a place not close to a crater?
I don't know all the details, so I can't say anything concrete, but in other countries, there are records of gas eruptions due to magma buildup under hot springs. It is an extremely rare event, but it is possible for such a thing to happen even in regions not near craters.
Thank you very much, Doctor. We appear to have an announcement from the Japan Defense Agency.
Of course.
Miss Morikawa, are you there?
Why, yes. I'm at the Japan Defense Agency. The agency has just made an announcement regarding the source of the Hinamizawa village gas disaster. Analysis from Ground for Self-Defense Forces Department of Chemicals has found that the gas was a mixture of carbon dioxide and hydrogen sulfide.
Miss Morikawa, do you know whether the gas is still erupting or spreading to nearby areas?
According to the SDF's 9th Division, who are currently engaged in a rescue operation at Hinamizawa Village, the gas density is steadily decreasing. And they've announced that the damage will not spread. However, it does not change the fact that the surrounding areas are still in danger, and that very strict observations must be maintained.
That was Morikawa from the Japan Defense Agency, and now we have a report on the state of those who have been made to evacuate the Okinomiya area. Shimoshinozaki Elementary School is one of the evacuation sites, and we currently have a report on scene. I'll just edit that.
Wait, what? Inside the Jeep, clamoring around and bouncing along the road, none answered my muttered questions. An unprecedented catastrophe had destroyed Hinamizawa in a single night. Where was Hinamizawa village anyway? Someplace deep in the mountains, right? Names of places I'd heard about on the radio were always like that. They were all places I'd never heard of, much less knew the location of. Wiped out? What does that mean? Don't they usually say how many died and how many were injured? How many people were alive? Where did everyone evacuate to? Eventually we came into view of Coach's clinic. For the first time, I saw the flag of Japan hanging on the pole outside. Japan's circular sun hung down as though exhausted. Many SDF tents were set up in the clinic's big parking lot, and many strict security vehicles were parked there as well. When they saw the Jeep coming, men in white clothing and gas masks came running out of the clinic, frantic, carrying a stretcher.
You're going to be alright. How do you feel? Can you walk?
Yes. Ow, ow. And because of my ows, they forced me to lay in the stretcher anyway. People who seemed like doctors were looking at me and notifying others of my condition via radio.
Multiple wounds, high possibility of fractures and internal damage, large laceration in the head. Pupils normal, but even without bleeding from the fundus, brain damage is still possible.
And then, from the clinic's entrance, people lying on stretchers were brought outside to replace me. Judging by their clothing, they were from Hinamizawa, and that's how I knew they were victims. They brought the stretchers in front of the truck. 2 troops holding shoulders and legs like some kind of baggage picked them up and threw them into the truck. Wah! In the trunk of the truck, people's bodies piled in heaps. They were just like baggage, and that told me they were already nothing but shells. At that moment, I remembered all those colorful sacks filling the trunks, and them lined up in the schoolyard like a fish market. Hundreds of empty shells. Corpses. Corpses, 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 corpses.
Me trying to fill the word count in my essay.
You jackasses! Don't just throw the victims in like that. They lived here. The troops carrying the sacks answered me with a humble salute. And they answered him with a humble salute, and then they waited for him to walk by, and then they...
Back to it.
The world didn't need this insane version of Hinamizawa. My final wish, again, it was granted. I didn't understand anything anymore. None of it mattered. I wished, I cursed, and then it happened the next day. Then please, tomorrow morning, let me die. That insane night, it's still going on. Please end it already. I was gonna say, like, Keiichi dies at the end of every game.
Not dead.
Huh? Hey, he's lost consciousness! Shout his name! Quickly!
You wanna take it?
Yeah. My Barakun! Can you hear me? If you can hear me, just blink! My Barakun! My Barakun! My Barakun!
Suddenly, the world didn't matter to me anymore. I wasn't interested in their cries.
His breathing stopped! Get his respiratory tract open! Use CPR! Make him live! Damn it! Damn it! No more! No more dead people! Nobody deserves to die! Don't kill him! Don't kill him!
I can't believe these people had to experience like an entire fucking village
Could you imagine
of dead people.
The fucking guys, they're like the dead in their eyes, just walking around carrying all this entire village,
A village of bodies.
disposing an entire village of bodies.
Best yet, you have to go into their houses to collect them one by one.
Yeah.
Because they are all sleeping.
That's women, children, men, old men, pets, insects. Everything in Hinamizawa is dead. I could hear the voice of a man crying and screaming in my ears. Nobody deserves to die. Those words came from his heart. They were so commonplace, and they soaked into my heart too. Maybe it was a mistake to take someone's life, even if it was to save Sadako. If this is the price I had to pay this horrible tragedy, then this is a little much, Oyashiro-sama. Why did you never punish me? Come to think of it, Sadako said something. Oyashiro-sama's actual curse never goes for the target at first, but kills everyone they love before that. Oyashiro-sama's curse. It was a convenient excuse, I told myself at the very end, that it wasn't my curse that destroyed it, but Oyashiro-sama's. Given that I was in a stretcher, this next bit might have been obvious. But last of all, I realized one thing. Yeah. Today, I had not heard those footsteps following me, even once. And now I was liberated. As the cries of the Higurashi I couldn't have been hearing filled my mind. Their tearful ensemble was the only funeral march I had. Oh, that cut a little short. Oh, we reset the track.
June 22nd, 1983, early morning. A widespread disaster occurred in Hinamizawa village, Tsushiboni Blank Prefecture. Volcanic gas, carbon dioxide and hydrogen sulfide erupted from the Onigafuchi swamp, one of the Hinamizawa area's water sources spread throughout the entire village. There were 1,200 victims, 20 have gone missing. The catastrophe was unprecedented, forcing local governments to evacuate approximately 600,000 people. According to later investigations, magma pools and hot springs were uncovered directly under Onigafuchi swamp, and the gas that gushed from it was determined to be the cause of the disaster. In addition, directly after the incident broke out, many came forth claiming the disaster was a curse based on Hinamizawa village legends, first sparking a wave of chaos. There was apparently local legends of a curse spreading miasma, destroying the village, and some scholars believe similar gas disaster may have happened in the past and remain part of these legends. More extreme periodicals suggested that this was an extension of the string of freak death incidents that had been happening in the recent years in Hinamizawa village, stirring interest in the theories about this curse of Oyashiro-sama. In addition, relatives of those in Hinamizawa village who had escaped the disaster complained of a sickness afterwards and were hospitalized. Some of them even died of unknown causes, further encouraging such extreme opinions. On top of that, several relatives professing to be possessed by Hoshiro-sama's curse committed suicide in strange ways, and the impact of the disaster has had, oh my god, I'm so slow, has had the entire nation, and the impact the disaster has had on the entire nation can no longer be ignored. Wild visions of terrible toxic gas sneaking around in the middle of the night, killing people, spilled across the country, causing a steady stream of people complaining about insomnia, difficulty breathing, headache, dizziness, etc. Some who identified themselves as being obsessed by it began doing odd things. Most of those things are mistakenly attributed to the tabloid press, but afterwards, some of them even began to call the mental illness arising from the Hinamizawa tragedy as Hinamizawa syndrome. The Hinamizawa village region, the object of all kinds of rumors and speculation, is currently closed off, and even flying overhead is prohibited. The prohibition was, at one point, undone as a result of decreasing gas density, but that autumn another gas burst was confirmed, leading to the area to being cordoned off again. Word is...
Bro.
He's not clicking, it's automatic. The word is that the area is sound asleep, all traces of former life intact and left to rot.
I can't believe you think I would just fuck over my boy like that.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, you're really fucking with him.
Only one survivor remains, Keiichi Mayabara, age 18, in his teens, who lived in Hinamizawa village. At the time of the rescue, he had trouble breathing due to the fluid buildup in his lungs, but as a result of life-saving procedures, he was kept alive. He is currently in a general hospital somewhere in the prefecture. The press have been asking him for some time, but all interviews have been refused. What did he see in Hinamizawa? What happened between June 21st and June 22nd in Hinamizawa village? Today he remains silent, unwilling to speak of it.
Keiichi didn't die at the end of this game?
Are you ready for the first scroll of the deaths?
This is...
Did they do this after the end of every game? Or is it just this one?
This is the first one in this, and then it's like everyone in Umineko, pretty much. So you're gonna want to come back to this and read it all, because you see all that text underneath everybody.
Yeah.
There's some very important hits in there.
We're not reading this out because they're too slow to read. Umineko Chie's dead. Kimiyoshi's dead.
So is that under the die?
Kameda's dead.
Is
Komaeda's
that
dead.
text supposed to mean anything?
Look,
It's just scrambled text. You can read it.
committed suicide.
Wait, I'm dead.
Keiichi Mabe committed suicide in victim's hospital, 8/29/1983.
Living his days in peace.
Scenario Ryukishi of 7. Partner in crime Yata Sukura.
Oh, so this is perfect.
I think that's his brother.
This is purposefully jumbled text. I assume you need to unjumble.
Tatarigoroshi was good.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's like actually a curse.
There were a lot of things that made it seem like it wasn't.
I mean, Tatarigoroshi wasn't a curse, but
There was a lot of things that made it seem like it wasn't.
convenient fart blast at the end of the game is like. Oh, she closed the door.
Is he locked in there now? Is that how that works? 2003, late summer.
Holy shit, this is so much later. Is Keiichi an old man now?
An elderly couple living in Osaka Prefecture discovered a cassette tape while organizing the possessions of their son, who passed away 8 years ago. Their son went missing after his fishing boat capsized in 1995. He was 47 at the time of his death. 8 years later, in 2003, they had begun to organize their son's remains in order to organize their minds, and had come across a cassette tape in question. From 1975 to 1989, the deceased had experience working as a journalist for a photography periodical, and his tape was thought to have been created during that time. The label on the tape read 11/28/1983, Keiichi Maebara. It is thought the tape was recorded during an interview with Keiichi Maebara, the only survivor of the great Hinamizawa disaster that occurred in June of 1983. As the only person who lived through the disaster on the night of June 21, As the only person who lived through the disaster on the night of June 21st, shrouded in mystery, many interested parties attempted to question him, but he never once spoke physically to anyone in a public place. Therefore, the tape caused quite a stir, possibly being of extremely high value. So bad. Click.
Is Keiichi?
It's Keiichi.
Welcome back,
It's Keiichi.
It's really hard to talk about stuff when I know I'm being recorded.
Please, don't worry about it. Here, it won't be a problem if I do this, right? After this, the sound quality dramatically decreases. Did it cover the recording device with something? Then, let's get started. Here's my first question. Keiichi-kun, where were you on the night of the great disaster?
I had gone behind the shrine, then took a path through the woods for a while. There was a rope bridge there, a little while before you get into the mountains. I fell from there and lost consciousness.
Did this happen during the night of the disaster, between the 21st and the 22nd?
No, it was the morning of the 21st, on Tuesday. Which means I woke up the afternoon of the next day. I think I was out for a day and a half.
Why on earth were you there? I mean, I'm sure everyone wants to know, but the bridge you fell from that day, a weekday, I might add, was quite far from both your house and the school, wasn't it? Speaking frankly, there are some who say you knew of the great disaster beforehand and fell from the rope bridge as you were trying to flee the village.
This isn't a joke. Please don't be so arbitrary about this.
I think it's a terrible thing. I think it's a terrible thing to say too. Please don't be offended. Anyway, about the rope bridge you fell from. It was right there, right here on the map, right? The rope bridge beyond the back of the shrine and through the path in the woods?
Probably. I never went over there, so I can't say for sure.
Well, I guess I just want to know why you were out somewhere where you'd never been before on a weekday morning. And then, well, about the riverbed you fell unconscious on. Have you heard the rumors about that being impossible?
Impossible. That word. Again.
For a little while, Keiichi Maebara mutters the word impossible several times. Why would it be impossible?
Oh. Why would it be impossible?
Yeah. Sorry.
Why would it be impossible?
You know how the volcanic gas originated in the Onigafuchi swamp? Some scholars did pretty delicate simulations and modeling and discovered something very interesting. The volcanic gas was heavier than the air, so it went along the ground, flowing into lower and lower places, kind of like what water does. And with the Onigafuchi swamp as its source, they were able to test how much time it would take for the gas to erupt and spread across the whole village. So well, that riverbed you were unconscious on, the gas, it would have it would have flowed down there.
I don't really understand what you're getting at.
In other words, if you're really passed out on that riverbed, you would have been in the middle of all that toxic gas that was spreading everywhere that night. That means there was no chance you could have been passed out there. Allow me to be a little bit more frank. I think that maybe you might be telling a lie. During the Great Disaster, you were hiding in a safe place, keeping an eye out for when the gas got thinner, then reappeared when you were secured by the SCF. How about that? Is that right on the mark? For a short time, the journalist presses Keiichi Maebara further, in a teasing way, but all that can be heard is our heavy sighs.
Even if that was the case, I wouldn't be surprised at this point.
What do you mean, you wouldn't be surprised? Was this recording really taken of Keiichi Maebara? Some harbor suspicions.
Yeah, you said it before, didn't you? That it was impossible. Impossible things happen in Hinamizawa all the time. There are people who shouldn't be... What?
Yeah, manga and rumor.
There are people who shouldn't exist. Dead people end up alive. It's not really that unusual. Never thought I, of all people, would be asked to prove that I was still alive when I was supposed to have died.
The journalist and Keiichi Maebara both laughed for a while. To verify his authenticity, I had others in the Maebara family check tapes with his voice in it. However, this sound was not clear. The sound was not clear, and much time had passed, so the relatives I checked with couldn't remember what he sounded like. I was unable to gain positive proof it was actually Keiichi Maebara's voice. Alright then, I'll change the subject. What do you think about the debate whether this disaster was the curse? The 5th year of the serial freak death incidents in Hinamizawa.
I don't think it was. I was the curse that year after all.
Oh, what do you mean?
What do I was just answering the question.
Doubts also remain regarding the date 11/28 written on the tape. The curse.
Oh, this is Keiichi. Yeah. The curse, well, you probably won't believe me when I tell you this. I was the one who caused it. I was the one who wished for the whole village to die, and it happened.
What a exciting story.
Exciting? I suppose you could call it that.
After Maebara Keiichi's failed suicide attempt on a certain August day, 2 months after the disaster, he was diagnosed with a mental disorder and transported to a treatment facility.
I was the one that killed Takano-san, and Coach, and Oishi too. At the time, I had some kind of divine power. Yes, I suppose it was like footsteps.
Footsteps? Wait, what's that supposed to mean?
Have you never heard footsteps before? Tip, tap, click, click.
The facility never allowed any news coverage, so it is extremely unlikely that a tape from the media dated after August 1983 would have had his voice on it.
Today, when you're walking around, try stopping suddenly. Something interesting will happen. Anyway, if you hear an extra footstep, even though you'd already stopped walking, you'd better be careful, you know.
Yes, I'll be careful.
Is what I'm saying really that funny to you?
However, the reporter had been criticized for his forceful methods of collecting data while he was active, so there's still a possibility that he broke into the facility and forced Keiichi Maebara to talk.
You've been doing nothing but laugh in my face this whole time. You're just like Coach. You pretend to sympathize with me, to listen to what I have to say, but your eyes are telling me you think I'm a lunatic.
That's not true.
No, I can tell. Your eyes are the same as Coach's.
Is this truly Keiichi Maebara's voice? The authenticity of this recording is still wrapped in mystery.
I never heard the footsteps again after that day. So I don't think I have that terrible power anymore. Perhaps, right here, right now, I'll wish for you to die. I'll wish for your death, for saying all these unpleasant things. Yes, this time, why don't I decide how you die? Takano-san was burned to death, so let's go with the opposite, with water. I hope you drown and die. How's that?
15 years after the tape was created, the reporter, just as Keiichi Maebara had predicted, died in an accident out on the sea.
If I'm in top form like I was then, you die before tomorrow morning for sure. Now then, I wonder how many days it will take you to drown. You'd better be careful, you know. Don't go getting yourself killed by some stupid curse I put on you, okay?
The recording ends in the middle of Keiichi Maebara's laughter. And Keiichi Maebara, late on the night of 11/30, 1983, 2 days after the interview, he suddenly died from a high fever cause unknown. Records remain of the strange words he kept giving after pressing the call button on the day before he died. An extra set of footsteps.
You guys power it back. He said, I hope you drown.
Or maybe the curse completed.
And then it killed him. That's Sumineko Live.
No, it's not.
Yay! The whole episode.
Now it's time for my favorite part. I gotta piss first.
The all cast
It's not
review
over yet?
session.
There is
No,
New
Brooklyn.
scenario has been unlocked. All cast review session has become available. To play it, select extra on the title menu on the all cast review section and pick Tatarigoroshi.
cast review session. Woo! You telling me you don't have the energy for the all cast review session?
No, I
You know,
don't.
Tyler, if we follow our current trajectory, we'll finish the next game at a normal time. Because we finished Onin Kikuchi at like 3, I think. It was like 2:30 or 3 in the morning. Because I remember we did a late-ass session for Onin Kikuchi. Because we binged it out.
Well,
With
the
Tanagashi,
next,
we
next
finished
game
on,
is
like,
really short too, so we could bust it out in like 2 sessions.
The next episode's pretty short.
Well, with Tanagashi, I remember we finished
All
like,
right.
normally.
All cast review
Oh,
session.
the best part of the game! I love this part so much. It goes so hard.
Thank you very much for enjoying Higurashi When They Cry, Chapter 3, Tatarigoroshi. How did you like it? It was a different sort of atmosphere than the previous chapters. I would be very happy if you enjoyed it, Star. Hee I bad end again. The type of which we're so fond of, huh, Star? Personally, I wanted to get a scene of the gas coming in, the villagers spasming and foaming at the mouth, one by one before dying. Do you all think so too?
Nay, of course I do not think so. Again! It happened again! A huge bad end. Q, Q, Q.
Huh? Mi-chan, you sure seem happy about the bad end.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, it's me, Shion.
That's not her voice.
Fuck. No. Shion. Oh, fuck. How do I do Shion? It's been so long.
Just give her a new one.
No. Shion is very posh. It's like, oh, Shion.
There you go.
There it is. Well, it's more like we all can honestly do at this point is laugh.
Jack in the Box Rudolph.
Oh, easy!
The terrible endings have been escalating through each chapter, and it finally reached a culmination, I suppose. Everyone died together as friends. Nipa Star.
Huh, I guess you could say that. I die every time, though, and I'm a little tired of it. It would be nice to have an ending where I didn't die once in a while. Tomatake-san, you're kind of like a news reporter. When you die, it's like, oh, we're in the second half now. Kind of. That's true, though.
It is true.
Okay, now here are all the new character portraits that debuted in this chapter. Everyone get a big round of applause. First is Coach Irie Kyosuke-san.
Woo!
to have your introduction. Hello there. I was a minor character, but having a full portrait like this makes me feel very important. Really feel important.
It's true. You have too many appearances and too much dialogue to be a minor character this time.
Oh,
Star.
I don't know about appearing in the next scenario, so please root for me. Thank you very much. Next up, we have Chie-sensei, who has been around since chapter 1, but has never had a portrait until now. Woo! Chie! It's your voice. It's your one
I don't
character.
remember who I sounded like a bitch, so all I
Hello there, everyone. They've had me appear in school scenes ever since the first chapter, but for whatever reason, I didn't have my own portrait. I wonder why.
Yes, I wonder. Oh, someone. Go on earlier. I wonder. Oh, someone give Chie-sensei a seat, please.
I love the review session so much. Okay, now everyone is here. Rena, you can do the honors again.
Okay, everyone. Please pick up the cup nearest to you on your table. There are plenty of different drinks. These after parties have gotten pretty lively. How many do we have here now?
Including us, I think there's about 10 people.
Now, we finally have the same number of minors and adults.
Hey,
What do you mean by that?
We can all drink without being ashamed.
Speaking of beer, how is it that something so delicious when cold turns so bad when warm? One of the 7 wonders of the world, I say.
I wonder why.
You're such a rotten.
Okay, I'll pour some beer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, huh? There are 6 adults here? Me. Me. I like the foamy barley tea as well. Rika-chan, you can't drink.
Leon's already drunk.
Anyway, Rena-san, let's get this moving. Well, okay. Can I have everyone's attention, please?
Alright.
Gross. It's the hardest part because you jump from so many fucking characters. You go from character to character to character. It's so
Alright, everyone. Excellent work on the Tatarigoroshi chapter. Cheers, kanpai!
Cheers,
Kanpai!
Yay! So my headcanon is that these are canon, and the games are just stage plays.
well, yeah.
Okay then, let's get down to the traditional plot discussion.
You don't even have to read.
I know. I'm just.
Stills all. Excuse me. Sorry, Rena, what happened there? Still though, this chapter is just confused us yet again. Well, if anyone has an opinion, please raise your hand.
Wow, everyone's being so discreet. No hands? Me on.
Then, why don't I break the ice? Oh, excuse me, could you change the music, please? Do something a little more mysterious.
Yeah, Takano!
Yeah, that's good. The mood has been set.
I love Rika.
Alright, Takano-san, take it away.
She's gonna say some dumb shit.
I think just by poring over the Tatarigoroshi story, the mystery won't be revealed.
I know what you mean. Obviously, that's how the stories have been set up. Yeah, was there something like that in particular?
I don't know if I'm right, but in Onikakushi, when Maebara-kun was eating in the restaurant with Oishi-san, Sonozaki-san found out, and it was a little mysterious, right?
Shion, it was certainly mysterious just to know Kakushi, but after reading Watanagashi, a few things made a lot of sense.
When I mentioned a restaurant with the cute uniforms in the story, it must have meant Angel Mort. And Angel Mort is owned by the Sonozaki family, so...
Mion, someone who knew Kei-chan was there too, and told me. It actually made a good amount of sense, right? That's what we mean.
There are subtle differences in the
Coach is drunk.
Higurashi stories.
Coach is drunk, it's alright. He's just drunk.
What I think are three facts that are the same for each. The character settings, for example. How was scary in Onikakushi, but that wasn't the only but that wasn't only because it was Onikakushi. It's because my character was the exact same in all three stories. Is that it?
Ren is scary in every game, yeah. I agree with the characters being exactly the same. The most extreme case being me dying in the same way, in the same place every time.
No matter which story it is, you always die in the same day.
Rolled.
There's a scene where during Watanagashi, Takano-san and Tomatake-san sneak into the ritual implement storehouse. The same scene where may have still happened in the other stories, even though it wasn't portrayed.
That's what I'm saying.
I think it's still happening, save for a few events, the weather the day of the festival, what we did in the club, and Sadako's uncle coming home. It's almost all the same.
That's facts.
Which means we have a bunch more questions. If the stories are told in exactly the same environment each time, why do they end up being so different? It's the hardest switch.
Oh yeah, dude. That's the hardest part of these fucking rap sessions, man.
If we think in a general sound novel type of way, sometimes a story branches depending on choices, right?
Dude, like, when fucking it goes Shion, Mion, Tomatake, I want to kill myself. Like, if I have to do the story without interruption, like, it's pain. So, like, if in Watanagashi you had given the doll to my sister... Jesus Christ. An unavoidable bad end from a choice so early on. That's pretty scary. Oh, thank God.
In Tatarigoroshi, maybe whether you decide to kill the uncle or not.
I think it was way before that. I think I think it branched back when the uncle's lover disappeared because of some trouble, and he returned to Hinamizawa.
Yeah, it branches at the start of the game.
Then what was the first branch in Onikakushi? I think it was when I appealed and started talking about the cereal bread incidents. Oh my god.
Bread.
It was when I appealed and started talking about the cereal freak death incidents related to Oyoshiro-sama's cause.
And I just thought of something. If Keiichi-san gave the doll to Mion-san, and if Oishi-san and my uncle hadn't appeared, would we not have spent our time in peace without anything happening?
I see. Sadako's gotten right to the point. You're right. You could say that again.
Then maybe we should pray Oishi-san and her uncle don't show up in this dark story. And then, if we can prevent Sonozaki-san from getting in a bad mood, everyone will be happy.
Why are we playing Baby Walk? Yay, big sis. You're needed for the bad ending. Be careful, everyone. If you make my sister mad, you're sure to get the bad end. What are you saying? Shion? Next time I'll pound nails into you without mercy. Bang, bang. Just you wait. Fucking God. Tanagashi was a nightmare. It's just Shion and Mion the whole fucking game.
We can't solve any of the mysteries thus far, but we seem to have put together a plan for how to get the story to end happily. I wonder if that's what really make us happy. Hoishi-san and Tepe Hojo-san don't show up. Mion-san gets the door. Is that all we have to make sure of?
Hey, you're right. We're all forgetting the most important thing. Remember the great Hinamizawa disaster?
You cannot prevent natural disasters. Should we have everyone in the village put on gas masks and move away?
It's probably Oyashiro-sama's curse.
Fuck off, Rika.
So we need to make sure not to make Oyashiro-sama angry.
You are Oyashiro-sama, fuck off.
No, this is getting a little tricky. We mustn't anger Oyashiro-sama, eh? And what should we do in order to prevent that?
The dam project itself is probably out of the question. Maybe if there was never a dam project in the first place.
Such a bitch.
Such a bitch.
She's such a bitch.
Dude, look at her.
She's supposed to be really nice. Too.
It's supposed to be really nice and like
No, she's
cool.
a fucking bitch.
True.
That would be hard. If it didn't happen, we would need a ritual to quell Oyashiro-sama's anger.
They just need to put Shion on the screen, then you have the 3 baddest bitches in Hinamizawa. Seeking a sacrifice into the Onigafuchi swamp. A ritual sacrifice.
This is like, you know, in Rhythm Heaven, you go through all the individual mini games,
And you do the last one.
and then you do like Fever or whatever.
It's a combination
This is
of all of
exactly
them.
what this is. This is exactly a sacrifice. Who do we sacrifice?
Keiichi. Come on, use your head. Someone who dies no matter what happens. If he's gonna die anyways, then we may as well have it to help out Hinamizawa. When you say dies no matter what, you're talking about me, aren't you?
I knew all along. I knew you had some very important role in the story, Jiro-san. We'll get you to play your part, Star. And for that, we have a blueprint. We're getting a nice, happy, good ending, don't we? Let's give it a try since we have time. Everyone involved, come over here.
They just kill Tomatake. Okay, me, normal, neutral voice.
Sure.
First we stop Uncle Hojo, whose lover ran out on him, from returning to Hinamizawa.
It was just Keiichi voice. That was not your
I'm sorry.
neutral voice.
I'm sorry. Tyler, you gotta do it. I can't. You gotta do it. I literally can't. I read Higurashi and it's, hello, it's me, Kei-chan. I can't.
Do you want me to read it?
Hiya! My name's Uncle Hojo. He has no portrait, so I'm standing in, Star. I'm so lonely and blue because my lover ran away. Time to go back to Hinamizawa. Lock up Satoko-chan. Raise her to be my maidservant. Why don't I take my motorbike back? I'll just put in the key and click, click.
They car bomb him! Judgment! To ashes and dust shall you return.
Sadako-chan, don't you think that's a little too much gunpowder? I hope Coach is alright. Sweat.
Someone else has to.
Okay.
Next, we stop in. Fuck. Next, we stop Oishi from showing up.
Are they gonna car bomb Oishi?
Me this time? Oh my god. No fool, me this time? My name is Gualdo Oishi Star. A hot, good-looking, middle-aged man who looks like a blues singer. Moo-foo-foo.
That's all.
That's all.
They car bomb him too!
Meep.
Rico, get out of there!
Judgment for you.
I can't believe they just car bomb him.
And last, me on.
And last we forget, a follow-up service for my sister. Come here, big sis. There's a cute little doll for you, Star.
How is she the little sister?
Aw, how nice. I'm not really understanding this.
That's fucking cagey.
That was just Keiichi. Yeah, that was Keiichi. I'm not really understanding this. Close enough. We'll roll with it. Oh, fuck. And finally, we must quell Oyashiro-sama's anger.
Then, will our last actor please come up?
Sacrifice himself for a cake.
Scientist, wrap him up and hang him. He'll sink for 3 days, right?
Goodbye, Tomatake.
I'm not such a patient. Let's just get this over with.
Goodbye, Tomatake. And with that, the case has been closed. Incredible. What a great series.
That's the ending of Higurashi,
What a
boys.
great series. Fantastic.
Star. Oh no. All of a sudden, this armor mine is glowing with an awesome power, Star. This pile of corpses is a pretty big deal.
Keiichi! Keiichi's calling, so Keiichi doesn't have a sprite, so they have him on the phone.
Huh? It's the phone. Hello? Oh, Keiichi-kun. Thanks for all your work.
Yeah. Looks like you're all having a roaring old time. And yet here I am, busy with reading the next scenario for the next story. Whatever. I'm in a good mood today, so I'll let you off without any teasing. Is she on there?
He's a hard worker.
Is she on there? Can you put her on?
Neon's better.
Shion's better. What? You're going to announce it here? I wanted to keep it a secret for a little while longer, but okay. Come on. Just give it to me, bro. Just give me the Keiichi Shion.
not getting married.
Just give it to
They're
me.
not
Give it
getting
to me.
married.
Just give it.
They're not getting made.
That's all I ask.
They're
Come on,
children. They are
Ryukishi.
children.
Ryukishi, just please. You like My Hero Academia.
Bro, whip out that card fast!
What did I do to you?
God.
A secret between Shion-san and Keiichi-san? What do you mean? Nobody told me about this. Nobody. Okay, Kei-chan, let's say it at the same time.
Oh my god.
1, 2, 3. What?
The main character of the next story will be Shion Sonozaki!
Yay!
Connor, the next story's really good.
This sucks!
Connor, the next story's
Fuck!
really good.
Man! Fuck! I hate Shion.
What?
This is what you get.
Motherfucker.
What?
Goofy ass.
Yes, so that's that. The one topping the popularity charts since her first appearance. The late appearing younger sister of the twin has been the pattern of things ever since the days of TH.
Oh, she's twin.
I have no idea what that means, and it doesn't matter. Anyway, I've been fired from my main character post for once. If the rumors are right, I might even get a portrait finally. Yahoo!
Yippee!
Yippee! Well, portraits of Kei-chan would be a big waste of disk space. If it couldn't all fit on one disc, there's a pretty high chance he'd be the first one dropped. You okay with this, Shion-san? The main character always meets some terrible fate in the end. Coo. Well, until now. But that doesn't necessarily mean it'll happen next time.
With Tatarigoroshi, we are already at the third game in the Higurashi When They Cry series. This is the first half presented by This first half presented a lot of strange and exciting mysteries, but starting next time,
This is the first half, presented by Papa John's Pizza.
the mysteries will start to be solved in the second half. The mysteries will start to be solved in the second half, marking the start of the big investigation arc. Temporary name.
The answers are. That'll mean it'll be a thrilling story where I become a detective and solve all these crazy, unfair mysteries. You'd all better think up good signature phrases, like, "You, sir, are the criminals, star."
Sorry.
Jesus Christ. It won't happen. Never. You'll get too close to the three family secrets, be imprisoned, and then get tortured. You're a shoo-in to meet a violent, unnatural death. Mion's jealous. Sis, I should say the same to you. Are you mentally prepared for me to see through all your mysteries and secrets? Then have you apologized to me and commit suicide?
No chance of Oyashiro-sama's curse for me, is there?
Anyway, the new story to begin the second half, temporarily called Mayakashi. Mayakashi, or Eye-Opening, is currently undergoing diligent development. We should be able to unveil it to you all in the near future, so I hope you'll look forward to it.
Onikakushi, Watanagashi, and Tatarigoroshi. What truths will you all come up with after reading these three stories? Or you just come up with more questions instead of theories? Rena has no clue either. For all you warriors who never yielded to these three mysteries and kept on fighting, we present to you one final scenario as thanks for your enthusiasm, one which we never originally planned on giving you. Please enjoy it. And that's chapter 4 of the question arcs. And chapter 5's Mayakashi.
Interesting, okay.
Mayakashi.
That's my favorite part of the game. I just, like, literally every time we start a game, I...
Alright, man. We finished the Tatarigoroshi.
I think every single episode from now on is just like peak fiction, right?
It's all peak fiction, yeah.
Like every single episode from here on is just peak fiction.
I didn't get to see a dead body.
You never get to
Like,
see
You don't
the
see
next
the
one?
dead bodies.
I want to see the dead body.
They describe them in
I want to
detail.
see the dead body.
I'll show you one.
Alright, people. We will see you next time. Hold on, what's the fucking name? What's Matsubushi? Time wasting chapter?
Matsubushi, I think.
Himatsubushi?
Himatsubushi, these nuts.
I have no idea.
I'm not looking,
I
I'm
don't
not looking,
remember
I'm not
the
looking, I'm not
episode
looking, I'm not
names.
looking, I'm not
Yes,
looking.
Himatsubushi. I got it right. Next time we'll be back for Himatsubushi, the time wasting chapter.
More like this whole series.